In today's video, we are going to look at this HP Probook 430 G7 laptop, and we are going to focus on keyboard replacement and other upgrade options, looking at things like the storage unit, the RAM, the wireless card, the fan, the processor, and any other details that may entail in the video. So stick with me as we dissect and disassemble this laptop. Don't go away. Opolotivacity, solutions to excellency. Let's stay together. So first things first, you should always first disconnect the power connections onto the laptop and then also shut down properly the laptop. Then after that, we can then unscrew these screws, these outer screws that are on the outer side, and then we proceed. So this specific laptop has outer screws that we need to remove, or rather unscrew, so that we can remove the cover and then have access to the interior. So let's proceed and do this right away. So if we are to proceed, we can just unscrew this. This is screw number 1, screw number 2, screw number 3, screw number 4 here, screw number 5. Then there are these outer ones on the flip side, which are screw number 6 right here. These ones always come out. These two always come out. Oops. So once we are done, we can then get our presser tool. I can use this as my presser tool to, or you can, in case you don't have this, you can use a slightly sharp edged tool to have access to the cover. Open it gently. All rounds, you keep opening it gently. Keep flipping the presser tool until the entire cover until the entire cover is removed. Now this is the interior of the HP Probook 430 G7 laptop, and before we proceed doing anything, we have to first remove the battery. And this is the battery. It has one screw here and another screw here. So in case you need to replace this HP long life 3-cell battery, you can always just unscrew this. But even when you're not replacing, in case you're replacing any particle, remember, first things first, you have to disconnect the power cord or the any power inlet. So we need to first remove this battery right away, disconnect it off the motherboard, and there you go. You can always just flip. After unscrewing, you flip it. You flip it gently. Flip it gently off the motherboard, and there you go. This is our battery. It's an HP long life 3-cell battery. It has 3 cells inside to combine, make one single battery. And in case you want to replace this is how you can do that. Then we have the storage units. Of course, it has 2 slots for the storage unit. It supports both the SSD unit, which is this one here already installed, and then also supports the HDD unit. For the SSD, it supports the non-volatile memory express, which is the NVMe, and for the HDDs, the hard disk drives. And for the RAM, it has 2 RAM slots, which is for the RAM, it has 2 RAM slots, which supports DDR4, which is the double data rate 4. And for this case, it has only 1 slot, which is fixed with a RAM stick, and we can also remove this. So in case you want to replace or rather upgrade, you can always add another chip, or you can even decide to remove this and put one of a bigger version. So we can remove this RAM, and then we have the wireless card here, which we can disconnect. It has 2 connecting wires running from the antenna, so we can just disconnect the first one and then the second one. They are all labeled with numbers, so we can remove that and then unscrew it gently. Unscrew it gently. So once we are done with the wireless card, we can then disconnect the fan and the cooling pipe, which runs up to the processor. So let's disconnect the fan. The fan has 2 screws. In case you want to replace the fan, you can always just unscrew these 2 screws and then have access to the fan. But you have to remember, you have to first disconnect it off the motherboard. You have to first disconnect it off the motherboard gently. Once you are done, you can then remove the fan. This is the cooling fan. In case it has errors or it has problems that needs to be replaced, you can always just unscrew it. As we move on, we can then go to the processor, which is the processor which is here. It has 2 screws, and they're always numbered. You can always crisscross when unscrewing. You can always start from one side to another. And this is a processor that supports up to 4.2 gigahertz, but it is a 1.6 gigahertz base frequency. So let's unscrew it right away. This, you unscrew the opposite direction, then also unscrew the other one, this angle, then the second one, the last one to this angle. So after unscrewing all those, that means the heat pipe, or rather the cooling pipe, has access to be removed. And here we go. We'll remove the cooling pipe and put it aside as well. So this is in case we want to replace the cooling pipe, we can always replace it in that format. So once we are done, we can then disconnect this HDD connector, and then down. Then we have the touchpad connectors, which are here. We also disconnect them off the motherboard. Then we have another connector. It's a SD connector, which is here. We also disconnect it off the motherboard, or rather off the board, just like that. So once we are done, we can then also disconnect the the fingerprint reader connector, which is here. You can also disconnect it gently off the board, just like that. So once we are done, we can then also disconnect. We can also disconnect this connector, connecting to the board that connects to the LCD or rather the screen. And we have to first open it, then remove it out gently. So once we are done, we also have this USB connector, which we need to remove or rather disconnect gently. We have to disconnect it gently off the board, just like that. Then we have also another connector here connecting the keyboard. We remove it off gently, disconnect it gently. So once we are done, we can then go to this RG44 connector and also disconnect it off the board. It has 2 screws. There you go. There you go. Free the side. There's a Thunderbolt connector also. So once we are done, we can then also disconnect. We can then also disconnect this that connects power to the motherboard. You can also disconnect it off the motherboard. Then cross-check and see if there is any other connection that is running on the board. Then we have the stereo speakers, the integrated stereo speakers that are also connecting to the board. We ensure that we disconnect it off the board as well, so that we don't have any connection. So there are 2 stereo connectors as stereo speakers, and they all use one connection line, which is this one here. So we can disconnect it off the board as well. Hope you're seeing that. You can disconnect it off the board. Kindly ensure that you do this gently. Don't rush technology for better results. So once we are done, we just need to confirm that we don't have any connecting point to the motherboard. So on ensuring that we don't have any connecting point to the motherboard, we then start unscrewing or rather removing screws off the board, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 screws that we need to first get rid of. And starting right away, we remove this. That is screw number 1. Go to the second one, screw number 2. Third one, screw number 3. The fourth one, screw number 4. And the fifth one, screw number 5. Oops. So once we are done with removing those 5 screws, we then gently remove the motherboard. Sure that you do it gently so that you don't affect any part. So this is our motherboard. And this is how it's appearing. So we need to clean this connector, this point where we need to connect this point where the keyboard connects right away, and we need to clean it up so that the dirt is gotten rid of and the rusting particles are removed, so that it's clean and clear, in that it doesn't cause any problems when it comes to connectivity success. Then also we need to clean up this connector itself, and I'm doing this with a little sanitizer. In case you have spirit, you can use spirit, but don't apply too much, just apply a little. So now that we are sure that it's cleaned up well, we can then try to connect back our motherboard. Gently. Let's put this connector, USB connector, onto the board. Make sure that it's connected very well. Then connect that RG45 cover. Ensuring that it's fitted in well. Can connect back. Make sure that they fit in well without having any issues. Without having any compatibility issues. Make sure that the keyboard is placed back well, so we can then tighten it with our screws, not forgetting where we put them. Then get USB reader. USB reader fixed. Has two screws as well. Screw number 1, then screw number 2. Once that is done, we connect LCD and also connect the keyboard. The USB and the keyboard. Then we attach the screws back into their position, starting with screw number 1. These screws that hold the motherboard, they are 5 in number. So we put the second one gently, nice and slow. Then we get the third one. Oops, fix the third one here. Oops, we can fix it here. Fifth one here, then the fifth one, although the last one here. Then we connect the power, but before we do that we can get this other one, these screws that connect the RG 45 Ethernet port. Then connect back the power line. Once that is done, we connect the stereo speakers also. Once that is done, then you can connect the wireless card. Is done, we can then get our fan. Also connect back. Done, you can then connect this SD card reader. the connector. And to the motherboard as well. We have to do it gently, nice and slow. So once that is done, we can then confirm that we have nothing left unconnected. Then we get our battery. And connect it back. Started right instantly. It has started instantly, but we need to first shut it down so that we can complete our process. So I will shut it down, forcefully shut it down, and then get my cover it up gently. Once that is done, we can then tighten the screws. So once that is done, we can then open this our laptop and then power it on to see what it brings. It will show the HP logo, and then we shall wait to log in. And that's how we can do the troubleshoot. We can do the upgrade of various parts, and then we shall punch in the password, given the password, and we shall be good to go. And that's it for this video. Hope you have learned something, and I hope to see you soon in the next video. Diversity Solutions to Excellency. Cheers.